Hello flosstube, this is AM, Dreamingstitcher. I am here to bring you an update on my cross stitch. Today is the 22nd of May that I'm doing this filming, so it's been exactly 5 months since I last filmed a video. I'd love to say that I got a whole lot done in that time, but that probably wouldn't be true. I did get some stitching done. I am here today to show you my progress on my whips and to show you a couple of finishes and to give you an idea about my plans for the future. Um, I'd like to digress for hopefully a short moment to say something about my plans. I know that I said in at least one video something to the effect of I sometimes watch floss tubers for the wrong reasons, and people wondered what that could mean. I do watch floss tubers for their beautiful stitching and their interesting projects and their entertaining personalities and all the good reasons. But sometimes I watch floss tubers just because they're human. The more human, the better. I feel like I am a very flawed human being, and by the time I finish this video, you may agree. I'm not sure that I should be calling myself Dreamingstitcher. I've thought very hard over the last few months at least that I should be calling myself Delusional Stitcher, but I've promised not to be too hard on myself, so I'm not going to do that. But one of the human things that some of us do is to make plans that we don't keep. So when I see many floss tubers do their first videos and say that they are doing this in order to make themselves accountable, to me that just doesn't work personally, because whatever promises or plans I may make, they don't necessarily come true. And sometimes I watch floss tubers for those same human faults and failings. One of my favorites was always making the most elaborate plans, and part of the entertainment of coming back to watch videos from that floss tuber was seeing how none of the plans had come to fruition. It helps me to connect to people. It helps me to feel that we are alike on that human level. So the ones with the bad lighting and the bad sound and other issues, the more human they are, the more likely I am to want to give them a boost by watching, because their love of cross stitch is no less than that of any other floss tuber. Their desire to share what they have done is just as deep. Um, just because we are not perfect, just because we do not have the 10,000 subscribers, just because we're never going to be named and shouted out across flosstube land, doesn't mean that we don't love this craft just as much as anyone else. And so those are the ones I tend to watch for, like I said, what you might call the wrong reasons, because I'm not going to them purely for their stitching. I'm not going to them because they have the greatest things to show. I'm going to them because I want them to have somebody watching. I want them to be successful even when we are as human as can be. And I'm not saying that every successful floss tuber is without flaw. I think we wouldn't be human if that was the case. But that's kind of what I mean when I say that my plans can't be counted on. I am human. I've made a lot of promises in the past. Things like, oh, if I bid on something, I'm going to stitch it right away. Yeah, that hasn't happened. Or such and such will be my next project. Mm-mm. Or I think I'll show you each a flip through and a kit and a related book. I did that once. All those plans I've made that didn't happen. The only one I've stuck to is to wait until I have finishes to show you. And that one's probably going to change after this video. But more on that later. So, yes, I want to show you my whips, my finishes, and give you a piece of my plans for the future, and show you why this will be my one way of being accountable, why I think I'm a delusional stitcher. But I am going to try to be kind to myself on that, and that will be the beautiful confessions that I have to show you later. So let's get into the stitching. When last I saw you, I had 9 works in progress, and I have put stitches into 7 of them since I saw you. I don't think it's a big deal exactly what order I show them in, but just because I decided that I would go ahead and show them in order of, I don't know if you could exactly call it complexity, but I'm going by, say, number of colors in each piece as some kind of objective measure of not really difficulty, but sophistication. I don't know. Oh, by the way, I really should have said thank you for stopping by to watch. Um, Thank you if you are a returning viewer. Thank you if this is the first time. You're very patient to have sat through 5.5 minutes now without me actually showing any stitching, but I'm about to do that. So thank you for your patience above all. Alright, so of my 7 that I put stitches into, the one with the fewest number of colors in it was this little Bucilla kit that you may have seen. I'm sure many of you have seen before because it was available, among other places, at Walmart, which is one of our big box stores in the United States, and I'm sure you've all heard of, and has so many visitors that if you just walk down any one with a cross stitch aisle, you probably saw this when it was available. And I have seen other floss tubers stitching it, so I know it's out there. It has 5 different colors. I don't think my light is going to be the greatest today, but you can see it's got green, blue, pink, black, and white. Every one of those colors is involved in full crosses and fractionals. Lots of fractionals in this little fellow. Every one of them has back stitching. There are some French knots. There are some straight stitches. And it is done with the kit materials that came with it. When it's finished up, it will go into this little frame. The fabric and the floss were provided by Bucilla. It's pretty stiff and crappy Aida, as tends to be the case with some of these Bucilla kits, but not as terrible as the one I did with the mushroom. That was a Bucilla. You can see I got lazy. I never did iron it out before I started, so it's going to take some real work to get these creases out of him. But he's all done. And the floss and the Aida did not work real well together. He is stitched with 2 strands. It's a 14 count Aida. It's kind of, I don't know if you can tell, let's find a color where you might be able to see. It feels kind of rippled to me. It's hard to say. Not real smooth like a DMC. And as it pulls through the fabric, there was always a lot of resistance. It's not a real smooth, pleasant stitch like you get with some other types of materials. I'm not real particular about the materials. I'm not saying he's bad to stitch on. I'm just saying that, compared to some of the other things I did, that was not the most pleasurable process of stitching. But I always like to watch the projects come together and see how they turn out. So that one actually is a finish, one of the 2 finishes that I have. Being as it was the simplest one, that should be no surprise. My next one I'm going to reach for over here. Give me a moment and I'll pause you while I grab it. As measured by complexity, this one has 20 colors listed on the color chart. 2 of those are not actually used in the full crosses. It is pretty much full crosses until you get to the top stitches, so it also has 12 of its colors listed for things like French knots, lazy daisies, back stitching, straight stitching. So it's done with 3 strands on a 14 count fabric with DMC floss. As you can see, it's from Bernat, which I do not believe is an extant company anymore. This particular kit goes back to, I think it was 1987? 88, beg your pardon. 1988, I got it off of eBay after looking for it for a while. I have been stitching it for some time. So 20 colors, of which 12 get used in various non-cross stitch capacities. And the last time you saw this one, it is not a finish, by the way. I'm not doing these in order of finishes, as I said, just in order of number of colors. I had all of the lion and his pole. This is cross stitching only, none of the top stitching things. And I had the border from about here, where that blue flower is, across, down, and part way across this bottom. That was it. So I have now finished all of the border. He is missing his eye, but otherwise he is ready for all of the types of non-cross stitches that are going to go into him. So he's ready for all that backstitching and French knots and so on. Oh, he is also missing the yellows that go in those blue flowers because they have the same number of strands as the French knots that tend to be nearby. So I thought I would do those last crosses and the French knots at the same time. Let's see if we can turn this so you're actually getting some light on him. As I said, the colors are not going to be great, but he has, we'll say 99% of his cross stitching done, and he's ready for the rest. So that's my Bernat carousel lion. Alright, next, have another pause so I can reach for my box. Kinky was the word I was looking for. Kinky was how to describe that Bucilla floss, as opposed to the beautiful DMC floss on the lion, which is on a really soft, lovely Aida. The only problem with which is that sometimes the needle may go through in the wrong place if you're not careful with your needle. But the floss on that one is DMC and wonderful. I've mentioned that in other videos. This next one has 23 colors. No, let me rephrase that. 23 symbols for cross stitching. Some of those are blends. So 23 different symbols involving both solid colors and blends, plus 6 symbols for backstitching and straight stitching. And this is my birds of a feather. You can see it's a chart with 2 different options. I was doing that upper one, which is actually flocked together. And you've been seeing me work on that for quite a long time. So for those who have been patient and put up with it for a very long time, it's a finish. It's a finish. All I had to do since the last time I saw you was finish the backstitching and the straight stitching. And I found out that I hate straight stitching. At least on this piece. I don't know why. I'll try to explain that in a minute. But there are my birds, folks. They're done. No, I didn't take the time to iron them and get them ready for you, in part because I know there's no chance of getting them mounted up and framed right now. And I am kind of planning to hold off on that until I do the second matching pattern that goes with them. But you can see my little birds. Their model was stitched with Anchor, I believe, but they had the DMC colors, so they don't look quite like the model piece. The straight stitching shows up in the very small twigs that come off some of the branches and that go from branches to berries. And I just found I really didn't like putting the straight stitching in. Something about having to think about where to anchor it and how to get it where it needed to go without running across the back where you'd be able to see it. And I don't know, I got through about a third of the straight stitches and got really tired of them and put it down. Otherwise, I could have been here months ago. It did not take me 5 months to finish this piece. It's actually been done for a while now, as a matter of fact. But I did put off working on it for a while. But I like them. I think they turned out well. They took a ridiculously long amount of time considering how little is actually in there. But I love the way the berries just kind of glow. If the color was more true, you'd be able to see it. That's where most of the blends are. It was done with a color chart. This is a 16 count oatmeal Aida. It's done 2 strands. And the blends have 1 of each color. I'm trying to think if there's anything else you need to know about them. It does have many fractionals. Oh, the color chart. I did not like working from the color chart. It was actually my first time with a full color chart, and they kind of got lazy on the symbols so that you, in these berries, which you can see have a lot of different reds in them, the colors were very close, and there would be lots of marked off squares that had no symbol in them, and the directions just said, you know, use the color of the nearest matching stitch with the same background color kind of thing. And it's like, this is too hard to tell. But I took a good guess in most cases, and I think they turned out all right. So that's my second finish. That tells you already I have no other finishes because I told you there were going to be two. But I'm happy with my birds. I would love to see them all framed up and ready to go. Okay, let me set them down and I'll get my next piece of progress. I think there's some issue with my camera because I did try to film a video a week or two ago and I thought the lighting was terrible because of the way there were shadows falling. And the same thing seems to be happening here. I see a lot of dark up here at the top of the image, very light down here. I don't know. I have a feeling that's the camera and I don't know why. But it is what it is. My next piece has 24 colors in it, plus 4 back stitches, but there's actually very little back stitching going on. It is done with one strand. It is Heartstring Sampler. His eye is on the sparrow, which I know you have seen from many far more accomplished floss tubers than myself. This is my one and only sampler that I'm working on. The last time I showed it to you, I had been working on the house, and this last house had its outline and roof, but none of the interior. Also, well, I'll just show you when I hold it up some of the other pieces that have appeared since last you saw it. It is on an apparel linen of no particular vintage and no particular count. It is longer in one direction than the other. I have taken the original beautiful colors, yes, it's very wrinkly, and converted them to DMC and then lightened them up further from that because I did not want the style that this is with a mottled, aged-looking fabric and dingied, aged-looking flosses. It's just not my thing. So I tried to brighten it all up, and I've discovered that that's not entirely successful with the conversions I came up with. But I left off in the middle there. How can we turn you to see what we've got? Let's try that. Okay. The house I finished. The center motif with the vines I've been working on. The two little birds above the house are new. The sun or star or whatever that is above the last house is new. I've finished up a tulip at the top. Added this snowflake kind of I don't know what that is, flowery symbol. Started on the horse, and that's what I mean about the color conversions not being entirely successful. There's not a lot of contrast in the two browns I've got going on in the horse, and that's entirely my fault. I don't know how I'm going to like it when it's done. I've also discovered I keep these in boxes when I'm not working on them, but I've noticed a lot of change in coloration. Does that last house look like a brighter yellow to you? Because it's the same thread. I haven't changed it, but even stitching it, it seemed different. It seemed like a brighter yellow. And same thing on some of this center motif as I worked on it. Some of the greens, just as I stitched them, it's the right green, but they seemed brighter and fresher when I took it out. And it's not where it's getting dusty. I don't know what the story is. Anyway, one clue that my color conversion probably wouldn't work should have been this bird. No, pardon me. This bird. Because the two colors in him are the same two colors in the horse, and can you really tell that he has two colors? So that's why my horse has got some issues. But we'll see how it goes. So this is obviously a long-term project. You've seen many people do it. I've got a long way to go. But I have put some stitching in it since last you saw it. Okay, like I said, 24 colors, one thread over a linen. All whole stitching except for the very minimal back stitching that'll take place in a few spots. Okay, next. I have been stitching on my stained glass nativity from Ladybug Designs. Wow, there are definitely issues with shadow and light here. Anyway, I realize it's not the holiday season. This is a kit I got from Hirschner's or Stitchery, one of those places. It was in their catalog. I liked it. It comes with DMC floss. It's a decent enough fabric, not as nice as the Aida that's with the Carousel Lion, but much better than, say, a Bucilla Kits Aida. And the last time I showed it to you, I had just started it. So I was here at the center. I had Mary's face, none of the actual leading around it, but her face, a little bit of the halo, and this bit of light. And I think I've actually worked on it more than anything else, other than, finishing up my sparrows. I do have a thread and needle in the back I'll try to move. But I've added quite a lot to that one. How much? I don't know. Maybe I'm a third of the way. I haven't worked my way all to the bottom yet. But I've put a lot more stitches in there considering how little there was when I showed it to you. This is an example of what I mean by plans. I told you before my last video that I had been purchasing too many things, and I spent a lot of money on a beautiful permanent kit, and I said that would be my next large start, and that I was going to try to stop buying things, and that because that one was so expensive, that would need to be the next thing I do. And then I turned around and picked this up. I don't know why I didn't think it was large. It's not huge, and it's not a heaven and earth design, but it is 100 by 201 stitches, which means that's 20,000 stitches because it's full coverage. That's not small. I probably have, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 stitches at least in there. And I'm not a fast stitcher, so that's one reason this has taken some time. But yeah, I would have to say that was my next large start. I'm just not any good at making plans or keeping promises. I'm sorry. That one, by the way, has 29 colors, all full crosses on a 14 count Aida with 2 strands of each color. Okay, the next one that I worked on, let me pick it up so I can show it to you. One moment. The next one was this Artiste kit. The name is put right above the color key. They call it Floral Splendor. I don't think, I'm pretty sure it was not part of the great Hobby Lobby sale several years ago. I think I probably just got it with a coupon because I liked it. The last time you saw it, I had done the nest, but not the eggs, a little bit of the leaves around it, and this leaf above it, and some yellow, pretty much from here to below the nest. So what have I added to this one? And it, by the way, has 34 colors. It's worked with 2 strands using Artiste floss, which is garbage, I think. If you've ever worked with Artiste, you know that. It's got 4 different colors of French knots and 8 different colors of backstitch, and it has a significant number of fractional stitches. And here's where I am. So I haven't added anything above the yellow line. What you see there was already there. People are always putting things behind. I don't know if it really helps. But I did carry the yellow over a little more from the nest this direction and added the leaves underneath. So a small amount of progress. Yeah, I always watch these videos before I post them, which doesn't mean they're going to be any good. Like I said, I'm human. I admire flosstubers who are human. Doesn't mean that even if I approve it's going to be great, but I'll try to see that the color is not completely awful and that I don't sound too much like Darth Vader and things like that. Okay, I have one more whip that I worked on that I'm going to pause and show to you. Okay, I admit to having been a bit coy about this one as to what it is that it's going to be. I showed you a very small bit here at the center in the past and didn't really show you or talk to you about what the chart was or anything else because I didn't think there was anything recognizable in the image. This is an artisty design based on someone else's artwork, as theirs always are. But I think you can actually recognize at the top now that this is a scene with sky. So I feel like I can show you the chart now because you can start to see what's there. What is all that strange confetti in progress in the center? Believe it or not, most of what you see there is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I know that may be hard to believe. It isn't looking much like a Tyrannosaurus right now, and it's not actually identified as such on the design. I just know that it must be because of the tiny little arms. That is his tiny little arm, or part of it. Let me show you the chart and you'll know what I mean. I did show this in a video once, long ago before I started stitching it. This is Land of the Dinosaurs. It has 67 colors. It's worked in 2 strands over a 14 count Aida that I got at Walmart long ago when they actually sold it off of bolts by the yard. It's not great fabric, but I wanted it to be large so that when I frame it, it can go in the part of the house that I call my dinosaur room. And so this was the widest piece of Aida I had in the house. And part of that is actually this edge that's not going to be stitched on, but that helped me get to the full width I needed. So this is Land of the Dinosaurs, and take another look. That is going to be the T-Rex at the center. Do you see that big dinosaur standing there? That's what all that oddness going on is. I started center, worked my way up to the top and out and across. That's the way I usually do them. You might have been able to tell that on my stained glass nativity, for example. Started with Mary near the middle, worked up, spread across, working down. Same thing with the dinosaurs. So we have a little bit of progress there, not a lot. Starting to put in some of the sauropod behind him. Have some clouds, some sky. That's progress. So those are my 7 of my 9 works in progress. 2 of them are finished now, so I guess I'm back to 7 works in progress. But that's not going to last. Here's what my plans are. My initial plans, when I filmed previously and the lighting was so terrible, so I didn't keep it, I was really thinking that my plans for the year were going to be to clear the decks. That I was not going to work on anything except my works in progress. That I had 9 to go. I was going to do my darndest to get 1 a month. That was in April that I was thinking that, and I did finish one for April. I have finished one for May. I don't know if I'll get one done for June. And some of these, there's no way they were going to get done in a month anyway. His Eyes on the Sparrow or the Land of the Dinosaurs are just not the kind of project that I can do in a month. But as of today, I am retired. No, I'm not Medicare or Social Security age yet. I've got a lot of years to go to get there. But I am retired. Been working from home since the middle of March. Last official work day was yesterday. And so I have time on my hands now. I don't have access to everything I need for cross-stitching. More on that later. But I have time, so I expect to be able to do more stitching and more other things. My sister says that there's no more time when you don't have a job, that you're just as busy. And I understand what she means. Life doesn't go away. But the hours that I would otherwise be spending in service to someone else, in service to a career, I can now spend on the things I need to do, whether that's personal business or personal pleasure. And so I expect to be doing more stitching, and so I hope to bring you more videos. I don't know how interested you'll be in them, but I'm not going to wait until I have finishes, I don't think. Again, I'm human. I don't always live up to my plans. But my hope at the moment, we'll call it that instead of a plan, is that I would come to you a little more regularly and show you my progress, but it's not going to be just those works in progress. I don't want a lot of starts. I feel overwhelmed when I have too many to do because there are so many things I want to stitch and can't get to. This is the delusional part of my delusions. I keep shopping. I need to stop. I have more than I could ever stitch. But rather than clearing the decks and doing only those works in progress, I'm not doing a mania type thing. I'm not going to start all the things. But what I have decided I am likely to do, and what I will be bringing you progress on in the next few videos, in addition to my other whips, is I'm doing what I'm calling for myself my bucket list starts. I am retired. I have my future before me. This is a new beginning. This is truly the first day of the rest of my life. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with these days that I have. None of us can know how many days we will have. I don't know if I'll even get to Social Security age. If I do, I don't know how much I'll last beyond that. I already know that I have more kits, charts, projects than I could do in many lifetimes. I did film one Sable, Stash Acquired Beyond Life Expectancy video. I may do more. But I really thought it over, and I thought, what could you start that you would not feel pressured over doing? And that would be the things that I have wanted to start for the longest time. The things that brought me my love of cross-stitch, the things that I wouldn't care if I were doing them and nothing else. It's hard to describe, but I told myself, if you could only keep 10 pieces out of all the hundreds that you literally have, what would those 10 be? And why or have you not started them? Pause for just a moment, please. Sorry, I got thirsty. So what would those 10 be? I'm going to talk more about them in a little bit, because first I'm going to show you what they would not be. This is the time for my beautiful confessions. This is the time where I show you why I call myself a delusional stitcher, why I have told myself, which ones do you really want to stitch? Which ones could you stitch and not feel that they're taking away from something else? That would put no pressure on you, make you feel not the least bit guilty. If you have only a limited amount of time before you, what do you want to have stitched? What would you regret not stitching if, the doctor told you you had 6 months? What would you like to know you had tried to finish in that time? That would be my bucket list start. All the rest are things that I have been buying since my last video. I'm pretty sure since the last video. They haven't been put away in boxes. And I know I was doing a Sable video shortly before or after my last regular update. So that kind of tells me these weren't boxed up and ready to be in a Sable video. They might have been on order. I don't know. But some people say they do videos to make themselves accountable. I don't know if accountability is the word for it. But if I'm going to be retired, I think it's time to end the secrets and to show you just how unwell I am. And I'm going to try to stop. I always am trying to stop. The only thing I've bought this week is I've been ordering fabrics and flosses in the hopes that they will be of use on my bucket list starts. But I have a pile over here that is liable to crash and fall to the floor at any moment of the things that I have purchased. And it's a ridiculous amount of kits. There's a few charts thrown in too. It's a ridiculous amount of money. It's obscene. But I'm going to show it to you. One, because they're beautiful. Two, because, like I said, I don't think we need those kind of secrets between us. If you're coming here to watch my videos, you might as well know how bad it is. And three, when I do my bucket list starts, I want you to know what I chose them in preference over. They are going to be the ones that mean more to me than anything else. And as I was choosing them, it wasn't that I didn't love everything else I have. It wasn't that I don't want to start all the things. But starting any of these others would make me feel like, I've got to finish the ones I have. I don't need to be starting another one. This is too much. It's too much pressure. I'll never finish them all. This is so many hours of work. No, the bucket list ones are not going to have those feelings. I'm not going to start them and say, I have so many to do, because they are the ones I want to do above all else. And I've been talking and talking and talking, so I need to show you these. These are not the bucket list. These are just what I have spent my money on. These are my confessions, and they're not in any kind of order because they already fell on the floor once and I just picked them up again. So, what have I been buying? A lot of these are significant amount of coverage. Let's just go through. RTO kit, reflection, a beautiful town. I love cityscapes and buildings. In my Sable stash, there's a whole box of things that are scenes and cities and buildings and that kind of thing. Towns, quaint little villages, what have you. That's one right there. I love nature and science and botany, and I ordered these beautiful mushrooms and leaves and berries. I want to stitch those. They're gorgeous. They're not one of my bucket list starts. Here's another town that I got at the same time as that first one, another RTO kit. A beautiful city, a beautiful village. You may hear me use the word beautiful a lot. These may not be your style. You might be into primitives or samplers or Clouds Factory and Soda Stitch and Pumpkin, whatever they are. Those are not my style. You might be into Jasmine Beckett Griffith, whose designs, frankly, I find frightening. You may be into all kinds of things that I'm not into. So you might look at this and say, more power to you. That's okay. We all love what we stitch. I like that town. This, I think I might have seen Luda or somebody with this one. I like dragons. It's huge. I think it's 17 inches tall. I can't sew, so I don't know how I would ever make it into a pillow. But I ordered it anyway. This one is an eBay find. I have an in-law who loves trains. I saw it. I thought of it as a gift. It would have to be stitched first. I love the very retro feel of it. It looks like something 1950s to me, like some picture book from that era. 40s or 50s. Things like, what is the name of that one? Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel? I don't know, those kinds of colors and bold lines and things. I would enjoy stitching that even though the trains aren't for me. I love fruit, especially pears. By the way, there's lots of kits I haven't ordered that I love, that are so tempting. Still lifes and things. But anyway, this one I was very disappointed that it was opened. I got it from eBay. But I do like the fruit and the designs. Again, I told you I like botanicals. When am I going to stitch that? I don't know. How could I ever stitch it? I ordered a lot. I don't mean quantity as in many, but a lot as in several pieces grouped together for sale at eBay with all kinds of charts and magazines I did not want. Some of them I actually thought were hideous, and some that were acceptable and tolerable that I'm not showing you today because I didn't order it for them. I bid on and purchased this lot solely because of these two charts. Some of you are fortunate enough to have them from when they were actually new. I wasn't into stitching then, I guess, or didn't know about them. Enough said. If you know these, you know why some of us love them. I bought the lot solely for those charts. Here's another chart I got because I like birds and botanicals, and where am I going to find the fabric to do that? I don't know. But I like it. It's very much up my alley. I have a whole bunch of other birds. You will see there is something rather similar in my bucket list charts when I show those to you. Yes, I spent money on this. Toadstools. I think it's stunning. I want to stitch it. I want to fill my house with botanical prints, only they won't be prints, they'll be stitcheries. How can I ever afford to frame them, and when would I ever get them stitched? Some of these mushrooms are a little more peculiar than others. But again, we have the pine cone and the leaves and the berries and the really weird mushrooms. And one more of those, they happen to actually be stacked near each other. More weird mushrooms, leaves, pine cones, flowers, berries. If you like these, then maybe your breath is being taken away like mine was when I saw them. If you don't, just scratch your head and move on. I love turtles. I had turtles, not this kind. We had red-eared sliders. But these remind me so much of them. I would love to stitch those. A bell pull. Not only delusional stitcher, not only spending problems, but I already had the chart for this, which I ordered from 123 Stitch, but it turned out to be a color chart that I was not enthusiastic about. And it didn't have, of course, all the materials and things. I actually went out of my way to try to get some of the flosses. It reminds me I should raid that pile of floss, because it might have some of the colors I need for my bucket list starts, where I can't get all the flosses I need because of the way the world is right now. But anyway, that is a kit with everything it needs, so that if I want to make it, I can. When? Who knows? I'll never get it made. We had a cat who looked almost identical to that. We called him, his name was Harlequin, because of his coloring. But his nickname was Howley, because he had IBS and he made all kinds of, you know what caterwauling is? He caterwauled a lot. But he looked just like that. I love koi and ponds and goldfish. And this is one I bid on. I've been looking at it and for it for a long time on eBay. There's been times they had it where the price was just too high for me. Times when I almost but didn't quite get it. I finally got it. I want to make it. I want to make all of these. They are not my bucket list start. They're just the ones I want to make because I love them and they're beautiful. And why did I buy them all? I don't know what's wrong with me. I think Cross Stitcher AK was the one who introduced me to this one. I've seen it in a lot of other places since, but she was the first one that I saw with it. And she was beginning hers, and it's gorgeous and not cheap, and shouldn't have spent my money on it, but that's the way I am. I have a lot of these now, these silver lining flowers. They're not small, they're multi-page charts. I don't know what's wrong with me. I like rabbits. Was he pretty? Of course he's pretty. I wouldn't buy him if he wasn't pretty. You probably can't even see the nice colors in that. She's crafting Amber. You got me with this one. Went to eBay. Happily, they actually had an issue of the magazine. Why am I getting it? Because she's stitching this, and I think she may have dyed the fabric she's using. I don't know. Her fabric's gorgeous. I don't know if I would have liked this just seeing it in the magazine. Seeing Amber stitching it, I fell in love. Every time she shows it, it takes my breath away. It's your fault, Amber. Well, no, it's not your fault that I'm mentally ill. Um, but that's why I got that one, was because of you. This was a recent acquisition. This was you're filling up your cart. You want to be able to make the shipping worthwhile. What else can you throw in there? It may have been on sale at the time. I'm not sure. I tried to order a piece of fabric to do it on. It's back ordered. I love rabbits. Didn't have this one. If I ever do my sable videos, you'll see how many I actually have. This is Ravaco. I'm sorry I haven't been naming all the brands and things for you. This is really more about how sick I am, not about anything else. Okay, so those bluebirds in that issue of the magazine, I actually have them here now because someone showed me the red birds. A newer floss tuber was doing the red birds. And I thought, I've got to have those. They're like the bluebirds. They're beautiful. They didn't have that issue of the magazine on eBay at the time. So I went to Amazon. I didn't actually get this from Amazon because they weren't shipping non-essential things. I probably should have got it from them because the people I did buy it from, case is all cracked and trashed. But the disc is still fine. What else did I spend money on? Right before our town closed down, I got this at Joann's because of the birds in the middle. 236 charts, and the only ones I'm really in love with are the birds. Same day at Joann. I didn't need these. They just spoke to my mood at the time. The message, there's beauty even in the ugliest of days. I needed that. And I liked the little frog. I'm not well, people. I'm not done. I'm mostly done with the pile. But you deserve to see it all. Like I said, I haven't... Oh, no, there's more. This is another eBay find. I love Asian designs. This makes me think of... You can't exactly call it a tapestry. My mom used it as a table cover. But it is a tapestry. It's an Asian tapestry with kind of these color motifs. Only darker background. But this made me think of it so much. So I went out of my way to find the cheapest one they had on eBay. Got this one at the same time as Rose Marquee. Okay, this one I could use your help on, folks. I did order a piece of fabric that I thought I would like. A lot of these flosses came out of, I've been raiding the stash of floss that I got a few years back off of eBay. Every color that I could find that I could use out of there, plus everything that 123 Stitch could actually provide, and I'm still don't have all the colors. I'm 5 colors short, I think. I went to Walmart also. They didn't have any of the colors I needed. But there is one thing I did not know about this one because I had never seen it in person and not seen the chart up close. Can you see Adam and Eve's faces? They have hearts in the middle of their faces. I'm sorry, I think that's ridiculous. Do you know anyone out there who has a conversion where they actually gave them faces? I don't do Facebook or Instagram or those things, so it would be kind of hard for me to find it if you do know, but can anyone tell me someone that has this with real faces on Adam and Eve? If not, I'm going to have to figure it out myself, because no way am I stitching them with hearts in the middle of their heads. That's just goofy. I had this chart already, but I went to eBay and bought it because it was a kit. Why get a kit when you already have the chart? Because I thought it might be more economical. It would have the fabric, it would have the floss. This was even before I knew we were going to be running around trying to get materials because of supply chain issues. But this is one I want to do as a gift for someone. When am I going to stitch it? When will they get their gift? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not well. A couple of Southwest designs. I looked at this one and admired it before. Finally succumbed and purchased it. At the same time that I was purchasing it, the same night, the same evening, went ahead and got that one. I hope it stitches up prettier than what the package looks like to me sometimes. This is another one where I had the chart. I spent money for the chart from 123 Stitch, and then I was trying to figure out how to get the fabric to do it on. Because bell pulls are kind of a pain. Where do you get the fabric? And Bucilia is not the most fun in the world. But I thought it was a reasonable price on this kit. I've seen it much more than it was. And I love the flowers. I love the Asian design. I love everything about this. It's beautiful. I look forward to stitching it someday. When? I don't know. I'm delusional if I think I'll get any of these done. Excuse me, just had a small avalanche. I'm going to pause and pick it up. It was just this one. Another beautiful, beautiful silver lining. I told you you'd hear the word beautiful a lot. I'm sorry. If you're sick of it, you can make this video into a drinking game if you want. And this many more to show you. A moment, please. This is new. It's currently available. I think this is the first time I ever saw it. And when I saw the image of it, it took my breath away. I don't know why. Kind of like those mushrooms. And, I mean, there's so many kits with butterflies. Who needs another one? I fell in love. When I'm not near the kid I love the kid I'm near. Had a chance to get this one for a reasonable price. Thought about it and thought about it. Looked online, saw that it's available as a stamped kit also. I hate stamped kits. Really couldn't make up my mind. It sold. Regretted it. Saw it come up again. Ended up bidding, I believe, and finally got this one. Why bid? Why take it away from someone else when I don't even know when, if ever, I'm going to stitch it? Another one of my little Southwest Decoratives NP designs. Want to do the little Southwestern things. There was another one here. It might have fallen out. Not a big deal if it did. There's more than enough. Never saw this one before. Until I came across it on eBay. I probably paid too much for it. I paid more than it would have cost in the store. But I never saw it before. And I immediately fell in love with it. I love Morning Glories. Cat reminds me a little bit of one of the cats we had. Just a little design. Love it. This one I have seen before. Thought about, didn't want to pay the overpriced prices on eBay. Ended up bidding on it anyway. Not the first time I saw it. But I would find myself continuing to search it. It's called Village Serene. Gold Collection Petite. And I would search it up now and then just to see if anybody was selling it and what the price was and all of that. I think I outbid somebody on this one too. I'm not sure. Why? Because who knows when I'm ever going to stitch it. That's probably a rotten thing to do to somebody. Love this. This is a bit like one of my bucket list ones that you're going to see me stitching. But I love this designer, I should say. Donna Vermillion Giampa. Don't love everything she did. Some of hers are near misses for me, and some of them are complete misses. But I like that one. Chart. I have a chart like this with apples and pears. Fell in love with this one because it's a botanical print. I want to fill my house with botanical prints that I've stitched. Saw a floss tuber doing this one. I think it actually looked prettier on her screen than what I'm thinking in person. There's a kind of a lack of realism to them in person. They're a little too cartoony. But it looks so beautiful when she was stitching it. You know how many things look, there's that word beautiful again, how many things look so nice when they're actually stitched up compared to their pictures. Shouldn't have ordered this one. It looked so pretty on the screen. The blues were so vibrant. I love bunnies. It would not be at the top of my two-stitch pile. Neither would this. The colors are so bright and pretty. More butterflies. An older kit. Almost done here, folks. Did I order more than these things? I think I probably did. There were other sellers with this where the bird looked so bright and vibrant and red, and this was a really good price, and I was hoping he would be as bright and vibrant as they were, but he's not. I think the colors were not true on those other images. But he's alright, and he's on a linen. Did I order other things? Lord help me, yes I did. I'm going to show you one more though, that's it. Anything else is just haven't pulled out. So, my bucket list ones are ones that I've had for a very long time, in some cases, in most cases. One of them is one I've stitched before, but it was a gift for someone, and I've sort of always wanted it for myself. I'll tell you right now, I'm not actually going to show them tonight. I'm going to show them to you as I start them. My plan is to probably start one a week or every 2 weeks. Maybe quicker, I don't know. But I'll come back to you with videos every couple of weeks or once a month or whatever it may be. And I expect to have at least one new bucket list start to show you each time. And yes, I love all of these. I want to stitch all of these. But the bucket list ones are the ones that I have wanted to stitch for the longest in almost every case. And I can't wait anymore. I want to do them. If this is the first day of the rest of my life, those are the ones I want to make. And if I'm making them, maybe, Lord help me, I will stop buying all these others. But there is one more that, it's a gold collection. It's kind of fallen apart. That they had new in stores and I could have bought way back when and never did because I thought it might be too monotonous doing those colors. I always liked the kit. But I thought all those blues and yellows, all that half stitching, that must be tedious. But I finally decided I don't care. I'm used to stitching so much now that it's just one stitch at a time. Yeah, it's yellows, yeah, it's blues. Yeah, it may get monotonous. Yeah, I could have gotten it for less long ago. But I was done waiting to get it. And in here I made a list of the ones I liked most. I think there were maybe 8 or 10 out of all these issues that I found truly stitchable. That's what I had to show you. Long video without a whole lot of actual stitching related things. Well, they're stitching related, but so I have been out shopping. I have come up with most of the floss I need to make what I want. As I said, I was thinking I would start Kells when I ordered it, but it's not a bucket list start, so the fact that I'm 5 flosses short probably doesn't matter. There's one I want to stitch that's done only with anchor floss, and it calls for 25 colors, and 1, 2, 3 Stitch only had 15 of them, so that's not going to be the first of my bucket list starts. There's another one that I'm 6 flosses short on, so I can't start that one until I get the 6, but I think I have a piece of fabric for it. There's another one that I'm 2 flosses short on, and the colors are very separated from each other, so I could start that one. They'll just be part of it I can't do because of those 2 colors. There's another one where I'm 1 floss short, So it may take a little time. I did go to 123 Stitch. I did raid my stash. I did today put on a mask and go to Walmart, not just for the floss. I needed milk too, but I got some meat and some milk, a few other things. But the next time you see me, there will be a new start. I'll show you progress on what I have, and I'll show you what I would spend the rest of my life stitching if I was told that I had a limited amount of time. What do I want to get done most? That's what you'll get to see. So I hope that you put up with this. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for forgiving my very human qualities, my flaws, my faults. If I don't live up to my plans, it'll be because I'm human, but I'm really aiming for these. Thank you for understanding. If you were shaking your head and saying, when is she going to stop buying things? When does she think she's ever going to stitch this stuff? She really is delusional. Then you're not thinking anything I haven't thought myself. I will perhaps do some more sable videos for you. That's not even my sable videos. But, and so if I do get them put away and filed where they belong, you may see them again. But I have lots of things to stitch. I need to stop. I am now on what they call a fixed income, and so I've got to stop buying. So I hope you will see me stitching but not buying. I always hope. Help me with that. Send some good thoughts my way. And thank you for watching. I hope things are going well where you are. I hope you can forgive me if you don't have the funds to waste on all those kinds of things and it bothers you to see others frivolously spending money on something that they will probably never get done. But I hope, barring natural disaster, if there's no fire or flood or tornado or something else that destroys all of these, and when I pass on, I hope they go to somebody. All the ones that I don't get stitched. Maybe there'll be somebody's estate sale or thrift store find in the future. Anyway, I'm going to watch this and see if it's any good sound-wise and picture-wise. And I'll see you all next time. I hope you're all well. Stay safe. Be happy. Bye.